Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. You can please rate and review the podcast. We would certainly appreciate that. If you enjoy listening to us, leave us some good stars, some good comments. That would be fantastic. Jeff, another busy weekend in baseball, another busy FAAB weekend. How is everything with you?
Everything's good. It's that time of year, though, where some of your teams you start to, some of your real life teams you care less about, and some of your fantasy teams you start to care less about. You focus more on you bring a focus on some things. When your own team is sliding down out of it, it's frustrating. It's frustrating, and that's where I am with the Reds a little bit there. Instead of watching every Reds game and making a point of that, I'm watching it still, but I'm flipping it. If I don't flip back as quickly, well, so be it.
The funny thing is, obviously, we live in, LA, West Coast time. And I always whenever I'm stuck, I'm like, I'm just going to watch the Dodger game. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting. There'll be a lot going on.
Exactly.
That offense is brutal the last few weeks. Tucker's just been a disaster. No hits this week. Dropped a fly ball today that cost him some runs. Didn't cost him the game. It cost him runs. But finally got booed a little bit by the Dodger faithful for the first time that I had really heard. But Freeman's struggling. Betts is struggling. Monty's had a couple of big hits. But even Ohtani, the extra base hits are there, but hasn't been quite the same. They're just every game is kind of 3-2. If they score late, they win. But it's been kind of a tough watch. This team is kind of an offensive mess right now.
It is. It really is. And, Fred Zinke is in the Tout Wars Champions League, which is a smaller league. I think it's 10 teams, smaller rosters. It's head-to-head. He finally tired of Tucker Zach and dropped him there.
Wow.
So 10-team mixed. I'm sure that's not the only one. If Fred's doing it, I'm sure others are as well.
That's a really good. Do you think anybody dropped him in the main event? I can't imagine anybody did.
I haven't looked yet.
Nope. Nobody dropped him in the main event. I can just confirm that.
Has anybody benched him even yet?
I have not. I'd love to. I just don't have the guts to do it.
I know it's tough. It's really tough to be able to pull that trigger. But
one drop in the online championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So first one I had seen. Yohan Duran dropped in my main event this week.
Really? Why?
I looked at it. Team is tied for the lead in saves. Time of year where you're doing strategy. Tied for the lead in saves, and then 6 above the second place. Dominating ERA, WHIP, and needs wins and Ks. So I guess probably going and I think it was Brian Baker, Duran, and one other closer. I was surprised he picked Duran. Maybe he's trying to get FAAB out of the pool or something like that. But
it's got to be that.
Yeah.
Because the ratios are elite.
Right. So I think he just figures ratios are set and going to go for strikeouts. He can gain 4 or 5 points in strikeouts. So maybe that's it. But it was I was surprised that was the guy that he dropped. You think he'd maybe drop one of your other closers?
Maybe he's dropping one a week. Who knows?
Could be as well. I'm looking at his team. What's really funny about the team is he's 6th overall too.
Wow.
So it's probably an overall move is really kind of what it is. He's got 132 points in our main event league. So I assume he's not even thinking about the league anymore. So overall, you look at those standings a little bit. It looks like obviously saves is what he needs. But it was interesting. Or saves is what he doesn't need. He's got 882 points in saves, 506 in strikeouts, and the ratios are really high up there. I imagine he's going to throw a lot of 2-steps the rest of the way.
Absolutely, and you shouldn't be forced to hold on to a guy, but at the same time, I actually don't mind it. Do you make a player like Duran undroppable or at least unclaimable? You shouldn't have to make. I don't think you should be forced to roster the guy if you're never going to use him again. But at the same time, it's interesting to throw that into the FAAB bidding budget right now.
It is. This league, it doesn't matter, and I'm sure he only did it because it doesn't matter. He's going to win the league anyway. But it could be second or third's a lot of money in a main event, so that could matter there. Interesting though, he kept Baker and David Bednar, and Duran was the one that he dropped.
Yeah. I get it, but at the same time, and you're probably going to drop all 3 at some point, right?
Yeah.
It's just that. So I totally understand the notion there. I know some people are going to get upset about that though.
Yeah, especially if you're in second place and the guy behind you needs can gain 5 points with 5 saves, that sort of thing, gets Duran out of it. It's a big move, but it'll be interesting. I'll be fascinated to see what the bidding looks like next weekend.
Yeah, well, who has money left? That's the other thing.
Yeah, that matters. Obviously there was a lot of bidding this week, but you look at that league. There's probably 3 teams with over 200, a couple teams in the hundreds. So it won't be a huge bid, but it'll probably be a triple-digit bid, I imagine, if those teams with money are active still.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's and I hope they are actually.
Me too. I like when the whole league's active.
Yeah. I mean, I understand when people get frustrated and like, oh, he hasn't bid in 2 months and now he swipes it and takes them from me. I get that. Same time, though, I want everybody to be active. Yeah, I say, yeah, I'm with Paul Sporer, though. Let them get upset. But someone will get upset. There will be a message board posting somewhere.
In the main event, you put in your $1,800. I kind of think you get to bid how you want. I mean, unless you're doing something weird where you're automatically trying to bid $1 above someone just to get somebody else to win, that's different world. But if you want to bid and stay active, and you forgot about your team for a month and you want to jump back in, sometimes it sucks when you get outbid on that person. But I got no real problem with it.
Yeah, and I get the notion too of like. It's one thing when it's a one category guy plus ratios in the case of a closer like Duran.
Yeah.
It's another thing when it's like dropping a hitter, dropping CJ Abrams or something like that. That's a whole different ball.
Agreed. Yeah, it's or a stolen base guy or a save guy is kind of the one way that really works out.
Yeah, and it's stolen base only. We're talking like Chandler Simpson, type of player. Although it's 2 categories, I know.
I was gonna say we're gonna talk about him in a second. He's a 2-category beast at the moment. But yeah, I get what you mean. It's if you're dropping a 4-category guy, that guy's gonna help you no matter what. So that doesn't usually happen as much, hopefully.
Yeah.
Real quick before we get into some players, looking at the playoff race here, it looks like we got 4 teams locked in the NL between the Braves, the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. All those are above 97%. 3 of those are above 99%. Then you get the Phillies about 80%. There's only really one spot up for grabs. I feel like do you think the NL in terms of winning it, not in terms of getting him, in terms of winning it, feels a little more open than it did? Kind of we're talking about the Dodgers, Malays. It feels like the Braves, Phillies, Brewers, and Cubs are all teams that can give the Dodgers a run for their money.
Yeah, and I was pounding the table, and I know Paul was doing a better job of pounding the table about the Brewers not being more active at the deadline for a more impactful player, whether that's Skubal or someone else. The someone else part is problematic. There wasn't really that one really good hitter that got dealt this year. I'm trying to think, who was the best hitter traded at the deadline?
I'm trying to remember. No one really jumps out to me as like an obvious big one. I'm trying to think who. I can't even think of it.
Could have been Curtis Mead. Could have been. But I mean, there weren't too many big bats that got dealt, and honestly, that to me, Luis Garcia maybe. I mean, and the Yankees kind of sneakily did that one there.
Adley Rutschman.
Well, Adley Rutschman, yeah, but the guy that can make an impact right now. I mean, and the Brewers have William Contreras, so they're not even in that market.
Yeah. I guess Luis Ariz maybe.
Yeah, and I'm
the fact that we're having to come up with names is says something right there. It says it was. You're right. There was not like that one I think it's Garcia. Big bat. You think it's Garcia? Okay.
Yeah. I think it is, but the point being is there wasn't that much for Milwaukee to trade for. I think if they, in another world, they trade for Curtis Mead and they have a decent third baseman all of a sudden, and that to me is would be pretty interesting. The fact that Pratt got hurt after the fact, makes it even a little bit worse for them. But hey, they did well against the Dodgers this weekend. I mean, they did. Then again, they swept them in the regular season last year.
Yeah, that's true. They did look good. Obviously, the playoffs will be a different animal. I mean, the Dodgers are going to have their pitching set up really nicely for the playoffs. But the NL is going to be like a high-level battle. You got 5 teams that are really legit, really, really good.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the AL's a complete flip. You got the 3 AL East teams who are really good. All the Red Sox, giving some back a little bit. They're still 92% making the playoffs, but the Central's wide open. If you want to call it, the White Sox have pushed that to 5.5 over the Tigers and the Twins and the Guardians. The AL West is still anybody's games between those 3 teams. It feels like the AL is as wide open as possible and different from the NL. The NL is wide open because everybody's good. The AL is wide open because there's only one team playing over 600, and I don't know how much we trust the Rays. 52 plus 52
After
run
this weekend, it's a lot lower than before. That's for sure. For sure.
So I feel like there's 3 teams that are out of it in the AL. There's 12 teams that over a 15% chance to make the playoffs. It's pretty crazy for this time of year. Toronto's still 17% to make the playoffs, despite the fact that they've been messy pretty much all year long. But man, this AL playoffs, any of these teams can win it. You could argue any of the teams can win it, and any teams could lose it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to me, it's interesting too. Like some of these teams that were sellers at the deadline have just as good a chance of winning a wild card as some of the buyers. Like Baltimore is the 3rd wild card right now. The Tigers are 1 game out in the wild card. The Blue Jays are 1 game out in the wild card. It's an insane race, and it's insane yet uninspiring all at the same time.
There's 7 teams within 3 games of that 3rd spot. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the Mariners won tonight to make it to be that last team there. I mean, the Mariners might be they might be the biggest disappointing team in baseball, more so than the Tigers, more so than the Mets. The Mets still win that category, but the Mariners. I mean, at least they won today. They won 2 in a row. They gave up. Munoz gave up the walk-off on Friday night. It could be an even different race there, but still, I keep looking at the standings like, how are the Orioles there? They're not any good.
Yeah.
Who is any good?
Yeah, I mean they're under 500. It's you're not saying. I mean, it's just it's a mess for the third spot.
I mean, the Tigers have lost 3 in a row, but they're still somehow plus 83, which I don't get either.
Yeah,
how did that? Because they were. I mean, and which makes it even more frustrating that they were sellers at the deadline. Instead, I get the whole they're going to lose Skubal at the end of the year thing, but you don't get to win that often. Yeah. I don't know.
They've given up 140 runs less than the Twins. Is that crazy?
Yeah. And yet they're a half game ahead of them in the standings.
And they've scored about the same amount of runs. The Twins have outscored them by 13, but they have I'm going to do the math in my head, but 131 run differential difference between the two teams. That is wild. They're a half game apart.
Yep, it is.
But let's talk about a few players before we jump into a very active FAAB period. One of those teams in the NL Central, behind the Brewers and Cubs, the Cardinals. But stars there, they've had obviously a great year with Jordan Walker. We'll talk about Joshua Baez in a bit. But Alec Burleson is having an awesome season. 288, 21 bombs, now tied his career high today. 70 runs scored, 90 RBI. Guys doing across the board in all 4 categories. Obviously not a stolen base guy, but hard hit rate and barrel rate at career highs. Burleson's just been awesome pretty much all year long, and especially of late.
I have him in a few places. This was a target. It's other things. Many other things have gone wrong, but places where I got Burleson, I'm quite happy because he was one of the few mid-round guys that gave you some power, and still you knew you could get batting average out of him. Others, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a decent chance at something like 27 and 115, 110, something like that. I mean, that'd be a monster season.
Yeah, it would be.
50% hard hit rate, barrel rates at like 11.5%. Just become a really, really good hitter. Strikes out less than 17% of the time. Just across the board. Just a solid hitter. Fun to watch, too. He had the 3 home run game in Yankee Stadium. Was fun. But he's just a fun guy to watch.
He is. He really is.
Yeah. Sticking in the NL Central. Paul Skenes. We've talked about him a good amount. It's been a rough year. It's the ERA is near 4, especially rough lately. 5.62 and 8 starts since the All-Star break. But then you look a little deeper, and I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do for next year. So he's still top 3 to 5 guy. The strikeout rate's a little bit up, believe it or not. The walk rate's a little bit up, and only a percent of he's still under 7%. Swing strikes the same. Then you look at left on base strand rate, 15% different. BABIP's about 30 points higher. Ground ball is down, but is this like a a little bit worse, but maybe a lot more unlucky? Like, what do you think for Skenes in terms of? I know our friend Rob DiPietro is doing their early meatball draft. I think it's next week, so they do the first 15 rounds of a draft. And it's actually at DC, so they do the last 35 rounds, I think in November, October, after the season. But they do 15 next week. I'm really curious to see where Skenes is going. I wonder if people are just going to kind of write this off as he's still awesome, his FIP's under 3, that sort of thing. Or there's going to be a bit of a discount in Skenes. Maybe he goes, end of the second round, that sort of thing. I kind of wonder, is there going to be a report coming out? Well, he's pitching through this or something like that. Because it's the velocity that scares me. That's the part that's really, I get all the swing and miss stuff is still there, but the velocity does ultimately matter. The separation between your fastball and your changeup matters. You can see that he's had less success with the changeup, for instance, at times. The fact that they are pushing him back 3 days this week, giving him extra rest. I mean, I think that's kind of telling a little bit there too. He could have an awesome September, and we're all like, and 12 people pay attention, and it could be back to being a top 5 pitcher at the end of the year. I am very curious to see the meatball results in, because I think it'll be very polarized. I think there are going to be players out there that are going to be like strident in that they think that he's going to be fine. There'll be other people like, I'm not touching him, and then there'll be a third category of the I don't knows, and I'll be probably in that third category. I'm curious to see that one, and then Vlad, Gunnar, Cal Raleigh, like the top 20, 25 guys that have had awful years. It'd be interesting to see where those guys go to. Wall scraper for Cal Raleigh tonight. Yeah, I did. He's like literal. It's so funny. Whenever I kind of do some prep for this, I'm looking for guys to talk about, maybe like stats for the last month or 6 weeks. Every time I click on average, Raleigh's the worst. No matter what rolling stats I use, is always the worst. It's incredible.
It's amazing every single week. Yep.
You mentioned Chandler Simpson earlier. This guy's quietly becoming not just a one category guy, but really a two category guy. We talked about him in the preseason. Like, if he hits for an average, suddenly he's not just a rabbit that gets your stolen base and nothing else. He's doing that right now, and he's running a lot more recently too. We talked about early in the year, wasn't really running a ton. Was still getting some stolen bases, but now he's up to 35. He has 13 stolen bases in 25 games since the break. Really opened up, hitting 406 since the break. Now he's up to 309. Suddenly this guy is dominating two categories, becomes much more interesting play in fantasy baseball when he's doing that.
But Scott, I got Josh Lowe instead. So, hey, I don't need Chandler Simpson.
At least Josh Lowe's back in the majors.
Yeah. But I think Dan Prepis, who is the team next to us who took him, he got, I think that's maybe the total max pick, and maybe, if not all the NFBC, certainly certainly in the main event, it was certainly the max pick. It was way late, like 18th round. I mean, it was, and I was just too prideful. I was like, when I flap my gums here at every single podcast and radio show and talk down Chandler Simpson, I can't, it's a disadvantage, I think, in a way. Just like I'm almost bound by my words on that I can't just say screw it, take the discount. I
get that as well. We do our fade and target show. We do fades. It would have to be like a really far drop for me taking those guys. Obviously, I don't want to take them for a reason. I've researched them and I don't like them. But you don't want to jump on here and fade someone all of a sudden jumping in there.
Yeah.
And Paul, I was about to mention. Paul mentioned the chat. Paul Spohr mentioned the chat how bad the other categories are. It's tough. I mean, he has 0 home runs and 25 RBI. So you're taking two gigantic holes there. I mean, you're getting literally no power. Some guys you get 8 to 10. 25 RBIs is really tough to manage in the outfield spot. Only 50 runs scored too, which makes it a little bit tough. So he's really a huge two category guy now, kind of middling in one, then just awful in two. So I'll probably always be a team context guy, but making it two categories instead of one is pretty interesting.
The end of round 19, and I passed on him.
That is a spot where yes, I would like to have.
I took Josh Lowe instead, and then I got Matt Wallner in the next round, and then we were fine with outfielders. They didn't need him. But we got Jonathan India, who qualifies everywhere, so we're good. Oh man, put this one in the Louvre. This is such a bad draft.
I assume those are 3 guys that are no longer on your roster.
Bo Totap Naylor is hanging out there too.
Oh man, I
did get Peyton Tolley in the 23rd, so there was one good pick.
Oh, that is a good. And you held on to him, right?
Yes.
That's a good. He's been really good, especially when he gets to face the A's. Then he's especially good.
Yeah, literally, nobody else is on that roster. Is on my roster after that though.
It's funny how much we hem and haw over those 20 to 30 picks, and then 8 of the 10 guys are never on your roster again.
Yeah, but this was special bad.
Speaking of guys who have been really, really good, Jesus Luzardo in Philadelphia. We talked about him earlier in the year. We're like, oh, all the metrics are there, but the ERA and everything, he's getting unlucky. He's giving up home run, whatever it was. He's flipped all that. He's having just an awesome year. 3.23 ERA, 1.15 WHIP, 29.8% strikeout rate. The hard hit rate's down. The barrel rate's down under 6%. Been especially good lately. He's been really good since the All-Star break. I think his ERA is 2 in his last 8 starts. Such an elite profile overall. Ton of ground balls. That's going up. He's got a 49% ground ball now. You strike out 30%, you get 50% ground balls. It's just hard to get runs against someone like this. He's got the home runs down from the last couple of years. That was an issue 2 years ago. Dude is awesome. FIP is 2.76, so it's even better than ERA. Been awesome. How high do you think he can move up next year? Elite profile now matching elite results.
Yeah, and remember what a terrible start he had in the season. And the thing is, there were great outings even mixed within there, but just the bad was so bad. And that's what made it really difficult to kind of put a value on him. But
he had a 6, a 5, and an 8 earned runs his first 4 starts.
Yep. Very difficult to kind of put a value, but so much upside there. You just know that there is a lot of volatility still baked in there. I'm just using our RotoWire's earned auction value tool there. And it's still below. Well, there's a bunch of closers that are going to rank high in there as well. So that kind of takes it away.
He's got to be a top 10 starter now though, right?
Yeah, he's right there. Sonny Gray and Parker Messick and Gavin Williams is in that range.
Just the exact guys we thought would be in the top 10 to start the season.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Miz is in his own category. Schlittler's still number 2.
Yeah, Schiller's been awesome too. Yeah.
Yep. Yamamoto is number 3. Yamamoto still doesn't get enough love. Look at the whip.
There's it's not a boring level, but there's just like kind of a workman-like effort to him. He's so good, but like the whip's at 0.89. That's crazy for a starting pitcher.
Yeah. So you lose a few strikeouts because he's only had 22 starts instead of 25, like some of the others.
Yeah.
But he's thrown more innings than Chris Sale this year.
Oh, interesting. All right. Yeah.
He's thrown more innings than Mizorowski actually this year. He's at 145 innings. He throws a lot of innings per start. It was
fun. It was fun watching them. Fun watching the Miz in Dodger Stadium this weekend. That was, and then the shadows started to come in. I'm like, yeah, good luck getting hit with that.
Yeah. I'm in trouble. Ralph Wiggum.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like randomly, we'll play tennis match sometimes, and like you get to the point where the shadows come in, and I'm like, I'm hitting a tennis ball. It's kind of weird. I can't imagine trying to hit a 93-mile-an-hour slider with those shadows.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple other guys I wanted to ask you about, just because we talk about him a lot, and he's a favorite on here. Jac Caglianone. We talked about him, the struggles early on. This guy has flipped a switch in a big way. 319 since the All-Star break in 25 games, 7 bombs, 23 RBIs. Had a great series against the Dodgers when they came to Dodger Stadium. The thing that jumped out to me, overall in the year, 26% strikeout rate, 14.4% since the break. He has been so locked in. And obviously, he's not going to have that kind of strikeout rate over a season, but man, he drops that at all. The power's legit, 14.8% barrel rate, 55% hard hit rate. This dude has arrived and is going. I just see the going to the moon next year going on there. He's 23 years old. This is gonna be a star for a long time. I love Jac Cags.
Yeah, 6 stolen bases too. He's not a zero there. I'd like to see a handful more walks, a handful fewer strikeouts, but like you said, he's been striking out less, so that's part of it. And you got to figure the team context won't be so bad next year. Plus, third.
I think we said that last year about the Royals, and it's the same.
I know. Yeah, that's true.
But you're right. Maikel Garcia's got to be better. Pascantino's got to be better. There's no way those guys can have seasons that are as poor as this year. So you're right. It lines up to be a much better lineup than it is now.
Yeah, first and outfield eligibility is also nice. So you get that little added bonus there. But then again, I mean, look at the rest of this Royals roster. I don't know why I expected them to be better. I mean, the outfield is just pathetic, especially with Jac Cags playing first. Yeah. It's Isaac Collins and Kyle Isbell and John Rave and Tyler Tolbert. Oh, yeah, he can run. Yeah. Okay, he's a poor man's Chandler Simpson now, as far as that goes.
Yeah, quite poor with a lot less playing time. But yeah, it's funny because when the Royals are on, I'm flipping around. If Witt and Caglianone are coming up, I'm flipping that game, and then just nobody else. I'm flipping off that so fast. They have 2 of my favorite players to watch on the same team, and then just nothing else I want to really watch.
Yep. PJ mentions that Gunnar Henderson got the Jeff Scott. Gunnar Henderson, he stinks bump this week.
It is a powerful force, by the way.
Yes, we need to learn how to contain it there. Maybe because it doesn't work on my own players. That's the problem.
Do you think Kyle Tucker's just immune to the he stinks bump?
I think he's immune to feelings. He's immune to just human emotion.
I've even tried to go public and the he stinks on Twitter, which usually gets a bump. There was the summer of J-Ram year where I was killing J-Ram for like 2 months. Then he didn't get out. He didn't get out for like 8 weeks before he got hurt.
I remember vividly.
But Kyle Tucker, it appears to have no you stink bump, and I'm trying to get there.
Working on it there. Yeah. We'll keep trying.
It's not going well. Funny, we mentioned this guy a little bit earlier. We're talking about the Yohan Duran drop in the main event, but David Bednar, I think it's someone that we're kind of like, he's on the Yankees. He was good the year before. Do we trust him to fully take the job and run with it after the hiccup in 2024 in Pittsburgh? But man, he's been really good too. 256, 104. He's got 27 saves. I know he blew a save today, but there was like an error in there or something. I forget what it was, but it was a bit of a wonky blown save. It wasn't really on him. It's so funny. Look at his profile. The last 6 years, he has 5 seasons under a 2.7 ERA and 1 season over a 5.7 ERA. It's just the biggest outlier in a career. You look at him; it's like the Gleyber Torres outlier year with the happy fun ball. He was so bad in 2024 and just so good in 5 of the other 6 years. Just a really good pitcher.
Yeah, kind of got some Brad Lidge vibes, where Lidge has had a number of great years, but he had one truly horrendous year too. Where he still got the saves because Charlie Manuel just still loved him so much. But yeah, it happens. But yeah, Bednar, I mean, it's the funny thing is I can remember the whole better add Camilo Doval just to back him up, just to be safe advice. That didn't age so well.
Man, Lidge had a year in 2009 where he had a 7.21, 1.81 whip. Oh my gosh. And he still had 31 saves. You're right. That's a great call. What a he had a 5.28, 1.40 year in there too, where he had 32 saves. He had a couple of really bad ones in there.
Yeah, he did.
Wow. And then he had a 1.90, 0.92. There's a wild career there.
It is very.
But Bednar's been rock solid. I think there was a little bit of trepidation on him coming in, but he's been great for them. I mean, he's huge. They trust him in the ninth. He's someone that comes out in the ninth. You feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's jump into this week and then into some FAAB. Interesting week this week, Jeff. Our Reds have. Do I still have to call them our Reds? I don't know if I can call them our Reds.
You can. They're my Reds still, but I'm not going to force them on you anymore.
Yeah,
they're not fun and exciting anymore.
They're not.
They're depressing, actually. Terrible team to watch offensively. Just terrible.
Yeah, it's rough. It's another one of those teams. Like Ellie comes up, I watch that, and then I kind of flip to somewhere else.
I watched Sal.
Oh, Sal's great. I should have said Ellie and Sal, and then once they're done, I'm good moving on.
Mm-hmm. But Brian Hayes homer the other day, so there's that.
Is that 2 now?
I think it's 5 even.
Oh, 5. Wow.
Icarus, don't fly too high.
But the Reds have 8 games this week, Jeff. Them and the Cardinals play a 5-game set this week from Monday through Thursday. So in NFBC type formats, a 5-game period for a half week is really big. And the games are in Cincinnati too. You do get some guys that'll probably sit. There's a doubleheader tomorrow. There's a note there. There's an early game tomorrow because the Reds and Cardinals have a doubleheader. But 8 games this week for them and the Cardinals. 7 gamers for Baltimore, Tampa, the White Sox, the Royals, the A's, and the Braves. Although the A's are away from Sacramento, so they have 7 on the road this week.
Yeah. There's that, but still, I'll still take that. I mean, there's no A's left. There are no A's hitters left except for Zach Geloff, basically. I mean, Soderstrom going on the IL today is just a final, screw you.
We were so fired up to watch this offense. I was never fired up to watch the pitching, but I was really excited to watch the offense. And, Langoliers, Kurtz, Soderstrom. I guess Jacob Wilson's still there, but he hasn't done a lot. But you losing those big boppers in the middle has made them pretty much unwatchable as well. There was a while in April and May where I would always flip to watch them on offense. And you watch now, it's I guess Loris Butler's been good lately, but you got Donovan Walton and Henry Bolte's been pretty good as well. But it's a very boring offense now.
Bolte had a really bad stretch though too.
He did. It's been much better the last 2.5 weeks or so.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was rough in there. He's hitting 314 in August with 3 bombs, but all of July was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Some other schedule notes. The Rockies are home all week, so obviously big there. Anytime you get a full Coors week, they do face the Dodgers. That should be an interesting series. Maybe that could get the Dodgers offense going a little bit. 3 games in Coors is a good way to kickstart things, and they get 3 against Cleveland at the end of the week too. So good for Rockies hitters, and also good for Dodgers and Guardians hitters as well.
Yep.
We mentioned the A's, Rockies, the Reds. There are a bunch of teams facing 6 righties. It's time of year where teams are platooning a lot. A's, Baltimore, Cubs, Yankees, Rays, Nats, and Phillies. You have their lefties. That's a really good time there. Also facing 5 lefties is Arizona. You don't get that very often.
And they're good against lefties too, by the way.
Good week if you want to stream someone like Tyler Locklear, that sort of thing. There's always there's a couple fringe guys in there that if they do face a bunch of one-handedness, you can kind of get them in for a stream this week.
Yeah, we were talking playoffs earlier, and we didn't really mention the Arizona Diamondbacks, but here they are again. Them and the Padres are finding a way back. They get hot at the right time there. Padres and Diamondbacks are basically fighting out this last wild card there, and this race is a little bit more inspiring. The third wild card is 67 and 58. As good as the Padres have been lately, and they have been really good. They dug themselves out of an offensive hole, and they've been much better lately. Took 2 out of 3 from Cleveland, but they're far from clear. They might get Joe Musgrove back this week. We'll see. Yeah, I think it'll probably be more likely one more week, but we'll see.
I was all over trying to bet on Musgrove this week. I did not get him anywhere, but I had him in pretty much all bidding on all my teams.
Okay. I'm dipping my toe on that one there because I think he's going to get some Zambranos.
I just think he was throwing hard. He threw 70 pitches in the last rehab start. I think that you can get good at a team where you need ratios. I think that works really well.
Sure. I could see it there in that ballpark for sure.
You mentioned the Padres. We'd talked a lot about first round guys who weren't really coming on. Man, Tatis has been awesome lately. Since July 1st, he's scored 32 runs, driven in 23, 8 home runs, 9 stolen bases, 16% strikeout rate since July 1st. He has been unbelievably good down the stretch here.
Yeah, he has. So can't complain. In fact, only Brice Turang has out-earned Tatis among second base eligible players this year. So
weird to think that Tatis second base eligible. Yeah, that's a big thing. But yeah, he's for all the slow start. It's been by the end of the year, it's going to look pretty darn good.
Yeah, we can still complain about Manny Machado though.
The batting average is still not good. Yeah,
213, 23 and 70 is okay. it's not. I think I'd expect more, but
yeah.
If he was hitting 250, we'd have more, but he's not hitting 250.
And Tatis is going to end up with not as many home runs as you paid for sure. He's got 13. Yeah. He's come on, if he's going to hit 20, something like that, but he's going to steal 35 bases, hit over 280. He's going to, hard hit rates, everything's good there, but fantasy wise, just going to be the power is going to be low and the RBI is going to be low, but it's going to turn out to be not a pick that killed you anyway.
So the question with Tatis now is, okay, what do you do with him next year? You're going to get two positions.
I just love to take him. I hope he goes at the same price. I'd take him all day with the thought that those first couple months were kind of fluky, and I'm good with it.
You're still taking him into the first round?
Yeah.
I was going to say second round, but you might be right about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to think about who's there, but I think he's a 1-2 turn guy, and I'd be pretty good with it. In the second round for sure, late first round, that sort of thing. I think you're going to get. The funny thing is he doesn't really have that he only has that one power peak season. He's never hit over 25 home runs except for the 1 year we hit 42. So we know that's there, but I think you're paying for just kind of across the board everything rather than a 35 home run guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the range. I think 1-2 round in there. Obviously, you got to see who's there. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see where someone like Nick Kurtz goes because he's really good for a while and then hurt. And I don't think he's going to play again. They have no reason to push him. He may just not kind of shut it down. But suddenly it's a 21-70 year hitting 256, and it doesn't look quite as good when you're kind of punching that button and at the 1-2 turn either.
How early does Yordan Alvarez go? Since that seems to be my choice every year.
You really do always have the Yordan call, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm getting it wrong pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's got it. I think it's just a matter of anybody's scared of the injuries, I think, because he played 50 games last year, but that'll be back to back. It'll be 2 out of 3 years with probably over 140 games, depending how much he ends up this year. He's going to go 45, 110 and hit 320. Yeah, I think he's going to be pick 9 to 12 somewhere in there probably.
Probably. I'm checking one thing here.
He'll be like the guy you take if you want everything but stolen bases, and you're just going to have to find stolen bases elsewhere.
Yes, and he's already at 20 games out in the outfield too, so that's not a problem this year.
That's huge too. You don't, with Ohtani, you're fine taking the utility on, but you still would love not to have to do it. Yordan having outfield's nice. Do you take him or Junior Caminero?
Yordan.
I think the batting average is such a big. I mean, that's a huge.
Caminero.
Caminero's awesome too, though.
He is awesome. He's so good.
And we talked about the 45, 110 last year. Can he repeat it? He's going to get right around there again.
Yeah.
Probably not the RBI, but and Paul's making a comment about the Yordan's knees in there. Will be the one thing. If you want to avoid those knees, that's the one concern with Yordan always, and it always will be.
I think we'll need to say 52-year-old knees a few times on podcast there before we try to get him towards the end of the first.
Get the price down, yeah. But him and Caminero will be kind of two, no speed, huge power, decent batting average guys as well.
Yep.
Real quick, there is a couple teams have some nice 6-game schedules. The Astros and the Red Sox jumped out to me. Astros get 3 against the Angels, 3 against the A's. That's as good as it gets right there for facing teams. And the Red Sox have 6 at home, 3 against Arizona, 3 against the Giants. Also a pretty good setup there, especially in Fenway.
Pretty good for at least for the Astros in terms of the playoff race too.
Yeah, no doubt there. It should be it's one of those weeks you want to go 5-1, something like that, and really kind of grow that lead a little bit.
Yep.
Let's get into a few news and notes before we do talk about a big FAAB weekend. But first, a note from our sponsors at Circa. The Circa $1.8 million and Circa Survivor are going big for the 2026 football season with $30 million in guaranteed prizes. Cash in this football season in Las Vegas with 3 Circa sports contests. Entries start at $1,000 with no rake. The Circa $1 million is 18 weeks of point spread action, 128 different ways to win. The winner takes home $1 million. Then we have the Circa Survivor, which everybody knows about. There's a YouTube documentary about it. Everybody's been watching that. Pick one winner each week. Last one standing wins. $20 million guaranteed to the winners, however many of those may be. Split the $20 million. And there's also the Circa Grandissimo. There were 69 teams in that last year. A massive contest with 100,000 entry point there. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere, $30 million guaranteed. Visit circusports.com/contest for details. Jeff, are you playing Circa Survivor this year?
Yeah, I'm debating 1 or 2 entries. I might just do 1 Survivor, 1 millions, or do 2 Survivors, 1 millions. I'm trying to figure that out still.
Or 1 Survivor, 1 Grandissimo?
I'm just going to ride your coattails on the Grandissimo because you've got 2 of them, and
that would be such a stressful. That would be so stressful. That I guess anybody enters that has enough money where it's not that stressful. But man, picking teams each week would be just literally stomach churning every week.
Yeah, it's just, good. Hey, and you can, the thing is too, with something like that big, I mean, it's not going to be as you don't have to worry so much about the crowd, like being different than the crowd, because there is no crowd.
It was interesting to watch. I watched a couple of the episodes, like talking about it last year, and they were saying how, because you have the holiday weeks in there in that contest, you have to bet Thanksgiving weekend and Christmas weekend, and now people in the regular contest plan for that, because there were 18,700 teams or whatever many teams were in last year. And Gradissimo, like nobody really cared about that. They figured it might not even get to that point with so few teams, so nobody was like worried about the holiday weeks as much as the regular contest.
Well, and then Thanksgiving, all 4 underdogs won too. So
that was a wild day. Yeah, there was just the only people that advanced were people that didn't have any of the favorites left.
Yep.
A few weekend news and notes here. You mentioned Tyler Soderstrom went on the IL with a left hip impingement, 10-day IL there. Vlad Guerrero, who we've talked about many times in this podcast, 7-day concussion IL. Hope Vladdy gets well soon. Justin Robleski, Dodgers pitcher, 15-day IL for forearm inflammation. Don't like to see that from a pitcher.
I
was going to say, do you consider Robleski a drop this week? You answered the question already.
Yeah, I mean, you got the bad performance followed by the move to the IL, and it just makes me think that this is more. It's the Dodgers too, where they just got Snell back, and Snell was awesome. I think they're gonna they have all the reason in the world to take it slow with Robleski. Yeah, I think it's a cut. Unfortunately, there good season, but I don't think he's going to do much for us the rest of the way.
I do as well, and you mentioned the Dodgers, like they won't have a reason to push him. Glasnow's about to make his way back to, like, there might even be a spot for Robleski. It's funny. He was an all-star a month ago, and now we're talking about it's been really rough since then.
Yep.
Masataka Yoshida, who we talked about last week, is someone to pick up with all the Red Sox right-handed pitchers are facing. 10-day IL with a left hamstring strain. Obviously picked him up, pretty easy drop there as well. Dansby Swanson, when I sent you the spreadsheet, had left the game early. Did go on the IL since then. So he went in the IL with left side discomfort. Sounds like an oblique. I dropped him in the main event, Jeff, and I didn't really think that hard about it. I kind of figured it's going to be a while.
It's never 2 weeks. It's always at least 4.
Yeah. And we've got 6 weeks left in the season. Yep. If it's 4, he's pretty much unusable.
Yep.
And he had that one insane week. He hasn't been great since then either. So that made it a pretty easy cut for me too. I was actually considering cutting him or at least benching him anyway. And that just made it an easy call.
Yeah. It's a tough break.
Yeah, it is. You mentioned Brice Turang earlier. He's missed the last 4 games with left knee discomfort. It's kind of, tomorrow is probably the inflection point there if they're going to put him on the IL. I guess they don't play tomorrow. They play Tuesday. But the next game, if he's ready, they probably keep him. Otherwise, he might go on the IL. So just definitely have someone available for Turang. They play on Tuesday. Hopefully you have somebody that you can swap in if he's not playing.
Yeah, exactly. I have an AL only league, but it's AL only plus Brewers because old school, because they used to be AL. And I have them there, and we run FAAB on Thursday night. So we start our weeks run Friday through Thursday. I benched him for this. So, it's one of those tough calls. I had another guy on our list, Brice Turang and Jacob deGrom. I both benched this week. Yeah. deGrom had that horrible outing on Thursday night against the Angels and, only went 2 innings with the triceps. I'm like, you don't want to take a dead spot for a week there.
Agreed. I was going to say, so deGrom played catch today. He said the triceps responded well. His quote, in a league where obviously, pitchers we got set for the whole week. He's, lightly scheduled to pitch Wednesday against Washington. Probably depends on how he comes out of that workout. Maybe he bumps back a couple of days and faces the Angels. You'd definitely like the Angels start. I think you'd like the Washington start now that they've made some moves. They're not quite as potent with Wood on the IL and Meade out of there and Luis Garcia out of there. Are you throwing Jacob deGrom this week in a 12-teamer or 15-teamer if that makes a difference for you too?
I don't think I am. I understand he's your ace and all that, but man, oh man. I just think it's far, far too likely that he'll either not make the start or have a shortened start.
Yep.
Either way, not good.
I'm a bit torn. I have him in a 12-teamer that's doing pretty well. I think I'm going to sit him this week. I think, in a 12-team, I think I have enough options where I can kind of get around that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, who's your pivot? That's the question.
Probably like a Mackenzie Gore or Braxton Ashcraft. That's that kind of call.
Yeah, Mackenzie Gore gets home start against the Angels. Yeah, I'd start that.
I think so too.
Gore home road splits are pretty stark.
They are, and he's been just so all over the place. It's like I feel like every game is like the 3 or 4 innings look good, and then all of a sudden, boom, 3-run homer. There's always that one inning that seems to get Gore.
Well, he's going up against his clone and Reed Detmers, so there's that too.
Man, Detmers has been good.
I know he's mostly, but he's still got the blow ups there. Everyone
he does, yeah. But he's had a pretty good,
106 whip. Wow, that is much good.
He's been a, like, we finally get to see good Reed Detmers, just let him pitch sort of thing. It's been a 380 ERA and a 106 whip is quite usable where he was drafted for sure.
So we found love in a hopeless place there. I mean, because something good came out of this Angels season. There you go.
It might be the only thing, though.
Yeah.
Is there anything else good?
I think the fact that they finally admitted that they're not contenders and actually sold at the trade deadline and got a top 50 prospect, that's something good too.
Yeah, Walbert Urena has been pretty good. 270. I know the whip's a little bit high, but he's been a pretty good find for them. He's 22. It's a pretty darn good season for a 22-year-old in the majors.
Yeah.
Some guys who are rehabbing or returning. Cody Bellinger starting a rehab assignment Thursday or Friday. There was an initial report. Aaron Boone messed it up and said Tuesday. He later changed that later after the game. He meant to say Thursday or Friday. Maikel Garcia is expected to return on Monday, as is Shane McClanahan. Shane McClanahan starting for the Rays tomorrow. Makes him a 2-start pitcher. Home Baltimore at Baltimore, weirdly enough. They have a wraparound series against Baltimore tomorrow. So they plays Baltimore twice this week. I assume that's even coming off the island, I assume that 2-step, that's a slam dunk start. Yeah.
It's a back, which sometimes can mean shoulder, but it doesn't sound like that's the case here.
Yeah. I think he's good enough where I'm throwing that.
Yeah, I think I'm throwing it too. But it's weird. McClanahan hasn't had the strikeouts this year. He's been pretty good all around, good ratios, but the strikeouts haven't been there.
Marcelo Mayer traded from the Red Sox to the Giants, expected to be activated this week. James Wood, oblique is healing slower than anticipated. I forget it was the Nationals GM or manager said that, but not great news on Wood there, so we're going to wait a while.
Can I interrupt you?
Absolutely, please do.
Oh, well, I'll continue Nat's talk for a second there.
Yeah.
What did you think about them moving CJ Abrams to second base and seemingly against his will?
I mean, I'm sure they have their reasons. I'm sure it's defense based. I don't know if I move my best player against his will.
Yeah.
Unless he's like really just horrendously awful. I'm looking at his defensive WAR. It is pretty bad. It's a minus 9.2 on FanGraphs so far. His offensive WAR is obviously awesome.
Yeah.
I think if I'm the Nats, I'd probably do that in between seasons though.
Yeah, me too. I thought the timing was really weird.
Yeah. I mean, you're not winning this year. I just think I kind of just don't rock that, but he's had such an awesome season on offense. You're 15 games back now. You're kind of out of it. I think I just kind of let him play crappy defense for 6 more weeks and then do it in the offseason and be like, and you kind of spin it much better in the offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roman Anthony, Jeff, your friend will start a rehab assignment on Tuesday. So we might actually be getting Roman Anthony for maybe the last 6 weeks after the season. You got to think he does probably 2 weeks of rehab. How long he's been at? You might get him for the final month. Were you considering adding him if he was available anywhere?
I actually held him in one league, believe it or not. That doesn't have an IL spot.
He's pretty much family to you, so would have been hard to cut that.
Dark horse AL MVP there, Scott, but no, was not AL MVP.
Almost as good as the year that I was convinced that Eric Chavez was going to win MVP.
Almost.
Newsflash: he did not win the MVP that year. Or any other year, to be fair. Sticking with the Red Sox, Trevor Story started his rehab assignment on Sunday, so he should be back soon. That'll be interesting what they do if they just kind of put him in starting every day at shortstop and Monasterio doesn't play, or what they do there, because Monasterio has been really good for them.
He has, but there's spots open still. I mean, you can play him at second. I mean, it's Nick Sogar. You can play one of them at second still.
That's a good point. Yeah, with the second base is a spot. Although Nick Sogar has been leading off for them, so it's
I know. But and Sealer's had his moments, but come on.
I think you're right. There is an open spot in that infield. That's a good point there. Let's talk about hitter FAAB. It was a big one this week. Joshua Baez was called up by the Cardinals. Started Saturday. Apparently had a pretty good game on Saturday. I haven't looked at any box scores, but apparently he was pretty good on Saturday. Pretty amazing. 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats. First pitch he's ever seen in the major leagues, goes 449 feet to dead center. Hits one to left, hits one to right. If you had any thoughts of Joshua Baez getting sniding through because nobody had money left, that blew that out of the water the second he hit those 3 home runs.
Yeah, I tweeted something to that effect. Yeah. It was fun to see it. Love it when a guy actually lives up to the hype immediately like that.
Unbelievable.
First time anybody's hit 3 homers in his debut. That's so cool.
I think I saw the quickest ever was like 10 games or something like that. It was I I can't remember who it was, but I think it was 10 games. So it's just one of those things. Like, it's so hard. It's so insane to have a stat. The bid rate, he was owned in I think 40% of the league. So it was not a full across the board ad for him, but he was added in 32 of the 60 leagues. So he was available in like 53, 54%. Highest bid was up to $500. There was a 500 on him, and then 291 was the next, but almost all the bids were over $100. There were 8 bids that were under 100. The lowest was 60 to our friend Clark Olson, who does not need any help. So he's not need that. He went for 60. What'd you do with Baez? Did you have enough money to even get involved in this? It felt like, this is the ultimate, like, if you have any money left, like, unload it right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I did get him in TGFBI. That's okay. I won him 138 to 128. So
nice.
So it was and it was a good chunk of my remaining FAAB, but that's fine. I tried to be aggressive as I could, but everywhere else I didn't have enough money. So it's fine.
And we talked about him. He's been the talk of the minors. I mean, last year he was 20 home runs and 54 stolen bases. This year he's 34-21. He's going to strike out a lot. He's a 29.5% strikeout rate in AAA. As we've talked about many times on the show over the years, that's only going to go up in the majors. He struck out 3 times today. He was 0 for 5, but the power's massive. He had a 20% barrel rate in the minors, a 51% hard hit rate. He's fast. The speed's real. This is one of those guys that, if he can go even he might have a bad batting average, he might have some issues there, but enough hard contact, maybe he can make up for that. But he could get, 7 and 7 the rest of the way, and that's huge ad for the last 6 weeks of the season.
It is, and it's not just that he did this; it's also the prospect pedigree was always there. We're always wondering when is he going to be able to, when was he going to get the call? I got to wonder, Scott, did anybody stash him and then cut him because they're getting impatient?
Our friend Jason Anthony and I, we split a main event team this year. We drafted it live in Vegas. We picked him up 3 weeks ago because someone had stashed him and cut him. And we're short in power. And we talked about it. It's like, this is the one thing that, like, we didn't have a lot of money. So it's like one of those things, we're not going to be able to bid on him. We wouldn't be able to bid on someone like this if they got dropped in our laps and FAAB. So 3 weeks early, he was still in the minors. I was like, we need home runs. This is like the one bat that could do that. So we picked him up. I don't even remember, for not many dollars 3 weeks ago. It was frustrating. He got called up, and the Cardinals Cubs game had already happened on that Friday, so we didn't get the 3 home runs, unfortunately. But having him on the roster felt like kind of adding a $200 FAAB guy without having any FAAB money.
Yeah, that's nice. A win for sure.
For sure. So there's the live example. I'm sure there were other cuts and people that just got frustrated at some point too. That's 4.5 months to hold on to him. It's a long time if you drafted him.
I got to wonder if there's anybody that cut him in the last couple of weeks though. That has to be the ultimate.
I assume you wouldn't hold him this long and then do it, but maybe get to the point where you're like, maybe he's never coming up. But there was that talk of the deadline where he could still be a rookie next year and all that kind of stuff. And they called him up the next day after that, so that had to be it.
Yep.
So that was fun. I mean, obviously a huge bid. If you had money, this is the week to unload it on Baez, but also Zac Veen for the Rockies got called up. There's a bit of a time crunch here in terms of playing time. Their outfield is pretty good and pretty solidified, but they've been moving Cole Carrick. He's playing some shortstop this week. I think he's up to 7 games at shortstop. It's really nice he got that eligibility. But Veen's prices were all over the map. Baez was pretty much aggressive, triple digits across the board. Veen had a lot of bids in the 70s, 80s. Now he's up to 116. But then there was 6 bids under $10 that got him. There was another 4 under $20 that got him. He was all over the map. I think people were worried about the fact they play at Coors all week, but they face 4 lefties. Will he play in those games? But this is someone that's been really good in AAA after coming up to the majors and not doing well. Seems like he's fixed up in AAA. He's been a monster this year. He's hitting 327, 24 home runs, 18 stolen bases, especially good as of late. I was pretty interested here. I think that going into Coors, hopefully he can find enough playing time against lefties to make it work.
Yeah, I think an aggressive bid is merited here too.
Yeah.
Even with the lefties, maybe he doesn't play against all of them, but pinch hitting opportunities are going to happen. He'll find his way into there. I think you've got to take advantage of this. Again, it's another one of those situations there where you're looking at someone. How often are you going to get a guy like this in the pool? And you're going to have other homestands too. I know there's not a whole lot of time left, but
right.
I think even the Rockies, I think, are not as pace eatery as they used to be. And I think they'll find ways to get him in there. Yeah. It is complicated because they didn't trade McCarthy. Yeah. They didn't trade away Moniak. In fact, I think they extended Moniak, if I'm not mistaken. But you also, and the other thing here too is, though, it is which pitchers come in. Like Blake Snell, that's a tough ask.
Yep.
Sasaki's not exactly an easy ask as a righty even. Cantillo, it was brilliant on Saturday against the Padres. Bybee, you can have Bybee. And then Foster Griffin. So, it is a tough slate for him this week.
There are some tough names in there. I did it. I don't even know if I'm going to throw him this week, although you said they face only one. Oh, they face Lauer too. So they face 2 lefties against the Dodgers, 1 and 2.
I skipped him on purpose, but yeah.
If he's out of the lineup tomorrow, I probably sit him with the thought that he probably doesn't play against Lauer, then maybe play against Sasaki, which is tough. But then I throw him over the weekend. Oh, that's 2 lefties, but not as quite as good. Although you mentioned Cantillo and Griffin pretty good as well. It's a tough week for a lefty. There's no doubt. I just thought for the last 6 weeks, I thought he was worth taking a stab on with the fact that you didn't even hitting in cores. It's still always good. We see what's happened to Jake McCarthy this year. I mean, Coors has just woken him up. He's had a huge year.
Yeah.
You figure they play McCarthy, Carrick, Moniak, and Veen, 3 outfielders and a DH, and then the times they want to get Jordan Beck or Troy Johnston, and then maybe then they go Carrick for Tovar at shortstop. I agree with you. I think they're going to work it out in some fact. I figure they called up Veen to play.
The fact that they're playing Carrick so much at shortstop does tell you something about their intentions. I was today years old when I realized that Carrick is shortstop eligible. Not eligible, but capable.
He's got 7 games there. I really need him to get shortstop. I have one team he's on where
I don't have him anywhere.
So. I haven't had a middle all year, and I would love to be able to play him at shortstop. That'd
be nice. A dream.
Yeah. So
if you could get the first 3 so you can get him for the second half of the week there, that would be nice.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get there quite that quickly, but I would absolutely love that. I noticed he was there today, so I think today was the 7th game. So but outside of these top 2 guys, we'll talk about pitching in a second. There was a really big pitcher ad as well this week. But what else did you like on offense? There's a lot of guys coming back. We mentioned Maikel Garcia, Pasquantino, Trevor Story, Kerry Carpenter, Stanton. There's a lot of Will Smith. There's a lot of guys coming back from injury, maybe a stash for a week or 2. Abimelec Ortiz, we talked about him last week. He had another good week. He was 75% roster in the main event, only 7% 12-teamers. I think Ortiz is doing enough. They play a lot of righties this week. I think he's 6 righties this week. I think he's doing enough for a 12-teamer right now, too.
I agree. They try to find some ways for Chaparro to play every once in a while, but there's a world where they can both coexist.
I think so too, and I think he's going to play against all righties, and that's the side of the platoon you want, no matter what else they do. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that he has so much power, and he's 5'8". I think he's 5'8", right? 5'10". He's listed at 5'10". I'm not sure I'm buying that. I think he's a little short on that. I like guys like that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
not much of a strike zone to go after there. Yeah. That's for sure.
It's just fun for me when little guys like that have an 18% barrel rate so far.
Yeah, exactly.
I say little, he's 230, so not little height wise, not little size wise.
Yes.
What about Tyler O'Neill? We've talked about him for years. There's always the injury concern there, but he's kind of got himself into pretty consistent playing time in Baltimore and in producing as of late. He's been hot lately. I thought this was a good guy that was worth a stab this week. I'm usually not an O'Neill guy in drafts, but they got a 7-game week this week. They got 6 home games, and they're at Tampa to start the week. I think that O'Neill probably plays 5.5 to 6 of those games, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's hot right now. I think with power hitters, I always like the guy who's kind of feeling good right now. I think he's a good stream this week.
Yeah, I think so too. Until he gets his next injury,
which will undoubtedly happen. But you hope he hits 3 or 4 home runs before that.
He was like a guy we were talking about, the 3rd, 4th round at one point in time at his peak in the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean he was 34, 15, 80 RBIs, 89 runs, and hit 286 in 2021. That's a monster fantasy year right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, hasn't played 115 games since though.
No.
What about anybody else on offense you liked? There was Jose Fermin Jr. in St. Louis, kind of splitting time with Blaze Jordan. With Joshua Baez there now, kind of limits the playing time a little bit more. But he's a speed play. They have 8 games this week. Maybe he plays 5 or 6 of those. You get some stolen bases. I thought Marcelo Mayer was interesting this week. He's back for the Giants this week. I got to figure when he gets up, he's 2nd, short, and 3rd eligible. I think the Giants can play him full time to kind of see what they got.
Yeah, it's just too bad he's on the Giants and in that ballpark, but. But yeah, I mean, I by the way, the Giants, that's a great trade for them. That's the sort of trade they should be doing. Even if it doesn't pan out, it's like the exact, they traded a reliever for him.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do that every time.
You see the home run Devers hit in the water today?
Yes, I did. And the guy falling out of the kayak trying to get it.
Yeah. That was a jack, though. That ball was crushed. Yeah,
it was.
But your point is you have to crush the ball to get it out of there. Brandon Belt somewhere is nodding about the home run park there. But anybody else you liked on offense? I think Jared Young with the Mets is interesting. He's playing a bunch, kind of sneaky under the radar stats. I thought he was good if you needed a corner. We always talk about Jeff McNeil. If you need batting average, he's been good with that lately. A couple steals as well. Eligible at 1st, 2nd, and outfield. But the A's are on the road this week. I was not overly enthused by that play either.
I have McNeil in some places. It's fine. He's been good lately.
Yes, he has.
But yeah,
hitting like 350 over the last month or so. He's been very solid for batting average.
He's been like a consolation prize for me in a couple of leagues.
Yeah, I think that's a good description of Jeff McNeil. I said Jared McNeil I went to high school with. Jeff McNeil plays for the A's.
Yes.
What about pitching this week? Let's go starting pitching first because I think the relievers. There was definitely a reliever to go with here.
Yeah, I have a big one. I have a big one here.
Oh, who's your big one? And to go with that.
Yeah, someone dropped Joe Ryan in one of my online championship leagues, so I won the bidding on him. I know he's not coming back this week, but he could be coming back sooner than later. It's a glute, right? So I mean, I feel like that's exactly the type of injury where he should come back pretty soon, and the Twins aren't out of it, so there's ample reason for them to get him back. I was a little surprised to see him there. So
what was the bidding like for Joe Ryan?
I will tell you, it wasn't that spectacular. As a matter of, I think we're such a Baez focused week that others slip in. Like you said, you got Veen at reasonable prices. Veen went for 25 in this league. I went pretty big on Ryan. I spent 68 on him. Runner up bid was 15. So I kind of overspent, but I don't feel too bad about that.
I liked all the news on Ryan. I mean, they always say it's nothing serious, but it didn't sound like it was. He's throwing off flat ground already.
Yeah.
If you get 4 weeks out of Joe Ryan, I think that's certainly worth the price you played there.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that one. I think Joe Musgrove's interesting. We talked about him a little bit earlier. We're talking about injuries, but throwing hard through 70 pitches in the minors. Probably one more rehab start. But you mentioned the Padres are hot. They're playing for something. If you get Musgrove to kind of slide in there, and even he pitches 5 or 6 innings, like this is a guy who hasn't had an ERA over 4 and 5 years. Like if you need ratios, it's very hard to find ratio help. Everybody who pick up at this point has got some danger to them. I thought Musgrove, at least, like you said, you might get some Zambranos, you might get some 4 2/3, 4 1/3. But I think the ratios, he may have hiccups there coming back, but he's a good whip guy, good ERA guy. It's hard to find that in the waiver wire right now. I liked adding Musgrove this week.
Yeah, I'm the one that posted that player note on Musgrove this morning.
Oh, right,
on
nice.
that rehab start. So
look at you doing the hard work on a Sunday morning. I like that. Look at you.
To see it. I just dig into the corners every once in a while. I get I subscribe to the free email newsletter, Kevin AC from the San Diego Union Tribune. Really
good beat writer, by the way.
Yeah, very good beat writer, and it's a free subscription. So I don't always get time to read it, but I always pick out a nugget or two anytime I do read it. So it's really good stuff. And that's the thing is, other people are working just as hard to find those little nuggets. You gotta avail yourself to those opportunities.
For sure. As the day got kind of went along, I moved Musgrove up as my top starting pitcher. I thought that he was the most interesting guy. He was picked up in 37 leagues. The high was a 37. Most of the bids were kind of in the low teens, right in there. It's just you got to probably wait a week. It's hard to everybody kind of needs some activity now. But it was interesting that I got more interested as the day went along, just because I kind of talked myself into the fact that it's hard to find ratios right now.
Right, and he may not pitch this week. If not, at least you'll get him next week.
What about all these two-step guys this week? There were a kind of a handful. There was some young guys. There's George Klassen for the Angels, Jackson Kent for the Nationals. Kent had some good stuff when I looked at his minor league numbers. Mitch Bratt in Arizona pitched well a couple starts ago. And then you had Christian Javier has 2 starts this week. Cal Quantrill, Rhett Lauder with your Reds, Carson Whisenhunt in San Francisco. There were a lot of this might work 2 steps, but you also might get 14 earned runs from these 2 steps.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're classic. This never works, but it might just work for us.
It might just work, right? Yeah. What did you think about when you looked at Jackson Kent or George Klassen, these young guys? Were you interested in them at all?
Well, Kent, the game went sideways the second he went out of the game last in his debut. I think that was that against who was he facing?
The Cubs.
That's right. And he
did have 5 walks in that game.
He did have 5 walks, and that's why he couldn't go deep. And that's what also chilled my interest, because they're going to pull him quickly. Yeah. I think Nats starters are kind of in that boat. The Nats, they're bless their hearts. They've stuck to their plan, and that's good for them. But it's also bad for us. They're going to do what's right for the long-term development every single time. Yeah. They've made that pretty clear.
It's funny. I kind of had the same thought process with Kent. I looked at he made 20 starts in the minors, 94 innings. So that's less than 5 innings a start.
Yep.
But then I scrolled back and I looked at the swinging strike rate, 14.9% in the minors this year, 14.1% last year. He does get swing and misses at 27% strikeout rate this year. I was mildly interested. He gets at Texas, good place to pitch. Then at Miami, pretty good place to pitch as well. I thought the 2-step lined up well. I think of the 2 sets I mentioned, they're kind of scary, but you had to consider them. He was at the top of my list of those 2 steps.
Yeah, and hey, maybe you'll get lucky and they'll put an opener in front of him.
Oh, that'd be nice too. Yeah. Because you're right. Wins are going to be really difficult from Kent.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually thought Griffin Jax was interesting this week. I think a lot of people dropped him last week because it didn't sound like it was going to be a short term, but everything I read a quicker recovery than expected. If you can get Griffin Jax, kind of like the Joe Ryan thing, but Joe Ryan's better. But if you get Griffin Jax for 4 or 5 weeks for the Rays, I thought that was a pretty good ad, especially in the main event. If you need some ratios, I mean, sure. 3.63, 1.21, gets a lot of swing and miss. Another guy that I love to put some openers in front of too, because he doesn't go really long in games. But if you get Jax for the final month, I thought that was worthy of a stash this week.
Yeah, I agree.
Are there any of the starting pitchers you like? I was looking at Musgrove, a little bit. Jack Leiter might pitch this week, might be another week before he pitches, but 60 Dale is a little tougher though. It's been a long time since he's pitched, but I thought that was mildly interesting. Quinn Mathews, we talked about him a couple weeks ago, might get a spot start tomorrow against the Reds, just with a doubleheader. I thought it was pretty meager. I liked Musgrove. I liked Kent and Bratt and Klassen a little bit, but it was tough to find starters I really wanted to throw after that.
I agree. It was tough, and it's tough all the time this time of year.
It is.
We're going to get to that ratios be damn portion of the season pretty soon. It's coming, where we're just trying to stream any 2 starters as best we can. At least some people will be doing that. I don't think we're there just yet.
I have many scars from trying to pick up kind of fringy starters in September. So it's always I'm always a little bit hesitant because I've had some bad experiences. I'm looking at you, Chase Anderson.
Yeah, oh God, I remember that one. I have the fringy closers that we're chasing one year and trying to think about overall, and then we ended up screwing our individual league because of that. So yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other guy that I had that was pitching against Chase Anderson, and it got I needed strikeouts, and they got in a rain delay and both left in the first inning, and then both of them pitched Sunday and just got absolutely blasted on Sunday. It was like the worst possible 2-step imaginable.
Yeah.
Ronzi Contreras is the name.
Oh, Ronzi. We'll always have Ronzi.
Jeff, I still have nightmares about that week. It was the worst fantasy baseball week I've ever had for sure.
Yeah.
And it cost many dollars on that week. But we're back here to battle for some more. Yep. Real quick, relievers. It was an interesting week. Kodai Senga for the Mets got 3 saves this week. There was a talk about moving him to the role. They moved into the role fully. Devin Williams on the IL. Senga was used fully as the closer this week. Got 3 saves. Looked good doing it. Kind of has the pitch mix for that, like a really good 2-pitch mix that hasn't worked great as a starter at all times. Obviously had a really good first year, and then that last year was pretty darn good as well. The whip was high, but it's good ERA. But it seems like it's a pretty good pitch mix for closer, and they seem like they really want to give this a try. I thought it was someone that if you needed saves, you had to be aggressive. You never know, we might get another one of these, but he could run with this job for the rest of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I was aggressive on Senga, and hopefully. It goes a little bit better than the Yenny or Cano experience from last week, but where I ended up dropping Cano in one of these leagues, the many leagues that I got him. So, which I called my shot in the article, by the way. I said he's going to go Jacob Junis on us, and he was actually worse.
Yeah, because they had Kitcher's got a save, and Sanders got 2 saves, right?
Yeah, and Cano came into a game 6-2 and gave up 3 runs, and then someone else has to come in to get a save. So even worse.
That's the word. So he comes in not for a save and sets up somebody else to lock down the save. So it makes him look doubly worse.
Yes, absolutely. So that was pretty terrible. But yeah, I mean, 3 saves is a lot in 1 week. Yeah. So the Mets will probably win in October the next time they play. Oh wait, they won't be playing in October. So who knows? But that's the problem is we probably missed Senga's best week. But I still was going after him. I had some $23 bids that won.
I'm looking. He was added in 47 leagues, high of 67, low of 6. So there were some low bids in there. But for the most part, it was kind of in the 25 to 35 range. I think people are low on money. And you mentioned the Joshua Baez. It's hard because you're bidding. If you bid on Baez, you have to bid on Senga knowing that if I get Baez, like how much can I leave myself if I get Senga also? Yep. It's not likely, but you still do the math, right? You still have to do it like what, if I get Baez lower than I thought, I can't get both of them. I can't leave myself with no dollars. But I added Senga in a main event where I do need saves for 47. So pretty aggressive there. The backup was 29. But I don't know. This felt like this is his job for right now. I mean, who knows how it works out, but he very clearly is the guy they're going to in the ninth inning for now. And that matters with closers.
100%. 100% agree there.
Did you do anything with the Anaheim guys? Ben Joyce came back, got 2 saves this week. Also, Sammy Natera Jr. is they kind of platoon based on handedness. It sounds like they're not going to throw Joyce on back-to-back outings. There was a quote from the Angels GM that said maybe we'll do it the last week to kind of test him out, see how it works out. But it sounds like no back-to-backs for now. But a guy that throws about 110 miles an hour and gets strikeouts and had 2 saves already, I thought was worthy of a bid. Although it's the Angels, and who knows what happens here, but I did like his a smaller bid than Senga for sure, though.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's a fine backup bid choice there, except it's just the Angels of it all. Yeah. We're still both Natera and Joyce are still down below Jordan Romano for the team lead in saves for the season, though. Still, but we have more than someone has more than 2 on the season now. Natera's up to 3 on the season, so huzzah!
Still amazing. They're not going to have a double-digit save guy.
Probably not. Probably not even close.
Man, I got a touchdown, like a 7 save guy. Oh, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else a closer you liked? I thought Joyce and Senga were the clear 2 that I was bidding on. There was some talk of Nate Pearson in Kansas City, but I think that I would probably prefer Cruz there. I didn't find anything else I liked at closer besides those 2.
I think I would prefer just to cruise on past Kansas City at this point in time. And,
well played right there, Jeff. Took you an hour and 5 minutes, but you got one in.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Anybody else that was on your mind or that you wanted to talk about that starter, hitter, FAAB going on in baseball? Anything else that's on your mind here?
Just remember early lineups again.
What time is that first game?
I'm pulling that up as we speak. Actually, 1:40 Eastern time for that.
Oh, that is pretty early. So 10:40 on the West Coast. The wraparound series, Orioles Rays, is actually not an early game. It's 3:05 Pacific, so that's not a concern there. But you're right that 10:40 Cardinals Reds. We got Quinn Mathews against undecided for your Reds.
Probably Chase Petty is what they're looking at there. But it's eat at Arby's type of thing there for the Reds right now. But although if they were in the American League, they'd be like a game out of the wild card, but they're not. So.
Obviously, we had the awful Hunter Green note he was having Tommy John, but lost in this Reds malaise. Chase Burns has been freaking awesome.
Yeah, he is. I thought he bounced back a little bit because his last couple outings had been a little shorter and fewer strikeouts. I think he was dominant on Friday against the Marlins. It was fun to see.
He's 14-2 right now. We don't talk about win-loss record very much, but 14-2 is pretty damn impressive. 247, 109, 29% strikeout rate. Just a full breakout great season.
Yeah. It's awesome to see, and he signed already long-term too. So that's great too.
Yeah, that it loves that. The Hunter Green stuff sucks because second Tommy John, not only out for next year, but like who knows what we get, the year after that. He may never be totally fully the same. I hope he is. He's really fun to watch, but it's just tough. Pitching injuries are just brutal.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. And hey, it is kind of a gentle reminder though. Everybody that throws mega hard, you get that extra layer of risk. We're looking at you, Mizorowski, and Burns for that matter. You're still looking at that as something in the long run. There.
Are you just testing if Dr. Dave's listening at the hour 8 minute mark?
No, I know he isn't. He's probably done listening at this point in time, but
he's a big believer in the if you throw too hard, you're going on the IL theory. But
I don't think he's wrong.
I don't think he's wrong either. You look at the list, and it seems inevitable more than anything.
Yeah, it's just trying to split that hair between injury risk and effectiveness. Because at some point, the harder you throw, the more effective you are, as the Miz is demonstrating.
I say if you pass on Mizorowski because you're worried about that, obviously that's been a huge miss. But a lot of the guys have been huge hits.
Yep.
Mizorowski's K- walk is 34% right now.
That's just stupid. That's just so stupid.
Like
Not K rate percentage, K- walk percentage.
A K rate of 34% is bonkers for a starter. Yeah. A K- walk of 34 is just otherworldly. It's just unbelievable season.
What a joy to watch.
So fun. And then I love the fire too. Like he had that big strikeout with the bases loaded against the Dodgers. I think it was in the 5th inning yesterday.
Yep.
Fully fired up, pumping his fist coming out. It was fun. You could tell that was a big series, big game. Brewers really wanted to make a statement there after they got swept by the Padres, right? Coming into that.
Yeah. Miserable series against the Padres. Yeah. Very miserable series. So he came in as a stopper.
Winning 3 out of 4 in Dodger Stadium. A big moment for the Brewers there, especially if you get down to the end of the year. That number 1 seed that matters hugely in baseball now.
Except it didn't last year.
I mean, it matters in terms of you. Is it 1 and 2 get a bye, or just 1 gets a bye now?
I think 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay, so you want to be the top 2. That's right.
But I'm just saying they swept the Dodgers in the regular season.
Yeah,
it didn't even matter. So
you still, if you still want to choose, you still want to choose a bye and get home games. But I do get it. It means
Dodgers were the 3 last year.
Who they play in the first
Phillies.
round? Phillies. That's right.
Yeah. Well, they beat the Phillies, not in the first round. They beat my Reds in the first round.
Oh, that's right. You went to game 2, right? Yeah.
Yes, I did.
That's right.
Yeah, and they squashed my Reds, squashed the Phillies, squashed the Brewers. They just were squashers.
Yeah. Not they weren't squashing the World Series, but they managed to get it done.
Yep.
Still amazing they won that game 7, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
2 plays that had like an inch away from them losing, but
yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. As always, we greatly appreciate listening. Appreciate all the people in the chat tonight. There was a lot of stuff going on there, so I hope that was great as well. Again, if you could please rate and review the podcast, much help there as well. We're back at you next week. Other than that, I hope everybody's a really good week, a good fantasy week. Back at you next Sunday night talking a whole lot of baseball. Hope everybody's a good week. Take care.